back doing a community of healing, and I'm with Brenda today. And Brenda, tell us about the breast show in town.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I am so happy to be able to share some information about the breast show in town. It started over 12 years ago in London with a nurse who does thermography who created an overnight pajama party to empower women.
That's crazy fun, eh?
Yeah, it is.
What a great concept to start with.
Yeah, exactly. Catchy, right? You know, the word breast is so taboo in so many people's vocabulary, and yet it's so imperative that we know more about our breast tissues, and that breast cancer is now affecting more women. It's the #1 killer of women 23 to 54.
You were telling me off air, we were talking about just having a mammogram and the situations that come from that. Can you explain that better? I had no clue.
Absolutely. Mammograms are the standard of care now in Ontario and throughout North America. And yet, 30 years ago, thermography was also the standard of care. And breast thermography is a non-radiating way of dealing with visuals of your body internally and watching changes over time. And why thermography is the safer alternative is because mammograms actually are 47 chest x-rays of radiation with one view.
With one view, that's it, one time.
Yeah.
So explain this alternative that's been around but nobody's using it. Why aren't they? What's going on?
I know. Well, you see, there is a bit of a focus towards anything that is diagnostic imaging, which is available in hospitals and this sort of thing, and became the standard of care, actually. Thermography is a non-radiating, non-painful way of looking at the various tissues over time and watching for visual changes to tissue circulation, which is what
it's a whole body thing then. It's looking far beyond just the breast.
Yes.
Wow.
You can do breast and you can do total body.
Oh, did not know that.
Yes.
And you've been an RN for a long time. How long have you been? This is...
Oops.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. But I'm proud to say that I've been an RN here in Ontario for over 34 years.
Oh. So you've seen these changes and you understand what's going on in our healthcare. Mm-hmm. So let's take it to one more step. Talk about the show. What do you guys do at the show? How do we help?
Yes. The Breast Show in Town is an amazing one-day event which has traveled throughout Ontario, enriching women and men in their knowledge about breast cancer. Because did you know men are also getting breast cancer?
Was unaware.
Yes. Children as young as 3 have had double mastectomies in Ontario.
Wow.
Yeah. It does not discern between women and men anymore. But yet, breast cancer is the #1 killer of women 23 to 54.
Oof. And at the show, you hope to bring all this information out. You have vendors that talk. Explain that.
We have wonderful integrative health practitioners who are both on the mainstream of medicine as well as the alternative stream of medicine. And they have fallen apart to come back together to bring their special knowledge to the people of Ontario, to share timely information on how to reduce or prevent breast cancer.
I like one point you touched on there, and let's expand on that for a minute. People are looking outside the traditional medicine, aren't they?
Yes.
They're starting to expand that horizon and look beyond to other cultures and other types of medicine. Do you guys obviously have those folks in? Can you give us some examples?
Well, we believe that dental health is the key to breast health. And we bring in some amazing dental professionals from our area who do bioethical dentistry, which means that they remove the mercury amalgam fillings and replace them with porcelain, or silver-based fillings as opposed to the mercury-based fillings that most of us have. If you've had dentistry done in the last 30 years, I'm sure your mouth is full of mercury.
And you touched on another point I want to talk to you about, silver. You have quite the background on that as well, don't you?
I do. Through my own experiences, I got very, very sick and was, I almost died a year ago.
Wow. What a recovery.
Yes, exactly. And if it wasn't for something called structured silver, which is an alkaline-based water with a perfect molecule of silver attached to it, this is an antimicrobial, antibacterial, totally non-antibiotic product that a person can take And actually, if you are on antibiotics, the structured silver, which you can take twice a day, 10 mils twice a day, is a wonderful way of cleaning the gunk out of your body, the molds, the funguses, the yeast, as well as viruses and bacteria.
I was just going to say, so bacteria is probably the critical point there, and
Yes.
viruses as well. Can you elaborate on your own situation a bit?
Okay, yes. As an RN, I'm used to dealing with antibiotics, and antibiotics are now becoming overprescribed. That's why there is so much resistance. We're now having MRSA, which is methicillin Staph aureus resistant bacteria, superbugs.
Yep.
And these are actually running rampant because of our overusage of antibiotics. And yet, antibiotics are only good for 23 different strains of bacteria, and yet there are over 200.
Yeah, easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so with structured silver, when you take structured silver, it is effective against all of those other strains of bacteria and viruses. And now, we're into flu season.
Yep.
And so we, some people get the flu shots. And they're only good for a certain strain of virus. And yet, then if you get a cold, we're not sure. Doctors don't really check to see what viruses or bacteria you're bringing in. They just prescribe, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is that we're getting antibiotics that are not good against viruses. They're not.
You've just left me with a wealth of information. I want to keep going now because when you talk about the silver and the bacteria, what does it do to the bacteria?
Okay. So silver has been known for centuries. In fact, Cleopatra used silver to fight off any illnesses. Have you ever heard of the phrase, she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth?
Yep.
Okay, so the rich had silver. And they were able to, because they used silver for eating utensils, were actually healthier than those that did not have access to silver.
Wow.
Yes. So through the centuries, silver's been around, has been known as a medicinal ingredient that has helped thousands, millions of people, countless people through the years. But we have lost insight in that because we've given our power away to the medical system. And the prescription pad of a doctor who has 7 minutes only to spend with you. And you come to them, so they are going to write you something because you expect it from them. Yeah. But we can empower ourselves by looking at the alternatives that are around us that are, been around for centuries. So through the years, there's been something like colloidal silver, if anybody's ever heard of that, where they take 2 sticks of silver and they put electrodes to it and it diffuses the silver into the water. That has been great and has helped a lot of people, but it is not scientifically accurate in terms of how much silver diffuses into the water. Some people actually came up with blue man syndrome or argyrium because of that, and their skin would turn blue from silver ingestion. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Whereas structured silver, you cannot overdose on it. You cannot turn blue on it. You cannot, it's safe for all ages. And is really timely now because of this emergence of all these superbugs.
So does it kill the bacteria? Like, what does it do to the bacteria? It just wipes them out?
Yes, it does. In 8 minutes, takes 8 minutes. So by the time you ingest like 2 teaspoons of silver, structured silver, what it does is it takes 8 minutes for it to touch and diffuse through. And when it passes through the blood-brain barrier, so it goes right into the bloodstream, in 8 minutes, your body circulates blood completely.
Bringing that all the way through its system.
Exactly.
Quickly.
And the wonderful thing about it, too, is that the structure of the silver as you ingest it is completely the same when you pass it out. And yet it's killed all that stuff.
Bacteria.
Yes. Yeah.
You've given me information on breast cancer. You've given us a ton of information today. How do people get a hold of you, and where share this information?
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you, Dave. Well, you can find out more about the Breast Show at www.breastshowintown.ca, and through there you will access a lot of professional services, people, speakers, information, a lot of media as well, and we do have a bookstore in there as well, where people can access amazing material to help change their life from the inside out.
And as far as the silver?
Well, the silver, you can get a hold of me. Personally, you can email me, bpearcerai, so bpearcerai @gmail.com.
we need to get together again. I know you're going to be working with this group with Community of Healing.
Right.
Thanks for doing this today. I really appreciate it. That's a ton of information. Yeah, get that right up there. Show the folks at home.
Yes.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot.
Thank you very much, Dave. It's been really a pleasure.